So totalitarian leaders use indoctrination propaganda. They disseminate, they infuse their voice in the population constantly to keep the people in this situation in this state of mass formation. And at the same time, once you understand that, you also understand how crucially important it is that the dissonant voices also continue to speak out, because the dissonant voice constantly disturbs the hypnotic state. It disturbs the mass formation. And that's something that was very well described in the 19th century by Gustave Le Bon, one of the first scholars who studied the phenomenon of mass formation. He said, when a mass emerges, there is typically a small group who is not in the grip of the mass formation, and that small group typically tries to show the people how absurd the narrative is, what they believe in. So they try to show the people, like, look, this narrative doesn't add up. And Gustave Le Bon said, the small group usually won't succeed in waking up the masses. That's almost impossible because it's such a strong type of hypnosis. But he said, it's not because these people don't succeed in waking up the masses that they have no effect. They do have a very important effect. When these voices continue to speak out in a quiet way, they will typically prevent the mass formation to go so deep that the mass formation arrives in this end stage where the masses become convinced, and the leaders become convinced, that it is their ethical duty to destroy everyone who doesn't participate in this new solidarity, in this new citizenship. So that's the extremely important effect everyone has who continues to speak out and to go against the mainstream narrative during a mass formation. And history has shown us, time and time again, what happens when the resistance, or the people who resist the mass formation, when these people stop to speak out. That happened in 1930 in the Soviet Union, and in 1935 in Nazi Germany, and within a period of 6 months, the destruction campaigns started. That's here during the Corona crisis. I think there are many people who continue to speak out, and it could well be that it are exactly these people that made sure that the mass formation did not go deeper and deeper and deeper. And I hope that the same people, when it's needed, that they will continue to speak out, no matter how difficult it becomes. Because
oh no, absolutely, Matthias. I couldn't agree more. And that's a lot of people didn't understand this. Even friends I have who are professionals at high levels, I've kind of fallen out with them. There's one particular group in WhatsApp. We'd been around the world together and doing triathlons. And the irony is that in early 2020, I was explaining with data, and they know I'm the hardcore tech guy, the problem solver extraordinaire, if you will. So they kind of knew, and they're also super smart. So they understood the data, and they kind of realized, well, of course, Ivor's right. So they would chide me, and there'd be some jokes, and they'd compare me to some of the more flowery conspiracy theorists in Ireland. But it was good humored. And during the summer, when the whole thing collapsed, exactly as I said it would, because it's a seasonal coronavirus, so I knew all the branches of science on this at the time, not being arrogant. They kind of realized, yeah, absolutely, I was completely correct. And I showed all the mortality figures from the Central Statistics Office, and I explained the age dependency, and that's why Ireland, with a young demographic, had no hit. It was nothing to do with lockdown. And they actually understood it. And we had a barbecue later with everyone there. And I was almost doing a victory roll. But it all changed when the propaganda raised tempo in the winter and when the vaccine was on the way. Because a new power came into the mass hypnosis, and it was the whole anti-vax power. That now you weren't just questioning lockdowns and new science that came out of China, right? Because that's easy to question. Now you were questioning vaccines, and 20 or 30 years I've watched, and I've never got involved in the vaccine conversation. I got all my vaccines a few years ago going to China, didn't even ask what they were, didn't even care. So, but I never went near the topic because I saw how insane it was. But 20 years, the anti-vax term has been cultured and built as a weapon. I used to joke before COVID, it was a weaponized word. And then when that thing came in October, November, December, they all left me, basically. Now, I don't care because they've they're unworthy. I mean, it's our children's future at stake, and what we've discussed, it's the future of the world. So I don't care. But isn't it interesting? When that new propaganda came in, they felt compelled to buy back into the narrative, even though they had saved themselves.
Yes, 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 of course. There are a lot of remarkable characteristics in this process of mass formation. Yes, I recognize many things of what you say. Yes, you refuse to participate in the ultimate ritual during this crisis, the taking of the vaccine. Yes, it's very strange, something very strange. But I think at the same time, I also lost some friends, not too many. I lost some things, like at university. Well, I was kicked out. I was excommunicated from certain groups of academics. But at the same time, it seems to me that I won the only thing that maybe is really important. You know, speaking out, on the one hand, we have to do it for ourselves. So it's extremely important because as a mass formation continues, the masses always exhaust themselves. They always lose their energy for certain reasons. That's something that is very well known from almost everyone who has been studying mass formation has observed that. But the point is that what we have to make sure is that the masses exhaust themselves before they destroy the people who do not go along with them. And that's one reason why we have to continue to speak out. But there is also other reasons.